What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of La Liga Insiders. Gemma Soler and Rodrigo Faiz, Christina Alexander to break it down for you. We're getting so close to the World Cup, and that's why these games are more crucial than ever before that little break that they'll have for Qatar 2022. So let's get to it. Let's check out the menu of the day first with, of course, some significant games this weekend. Lewandowski to the rescue again for Football Club Barcelona, and Girona stops Real Madrid. Yep, 2 games without knowing that victory. And what's new with our insiders? Some interesting information as always, and some fun information from Karim Benzema with a little bit of extra time. But let's get to it. Barcelona with that victory, like we just said, Lewandowski coming through again for the Blaugranas. Gemma, overall, was this Lewandowski's game, or was it a good game from Barcelona? What do you think? They're still in second place with 31 points.
Hi, Cristina. It wasn't at all a good game from Barcelona, neither from Valencia. It was an uninspired match, I think, from both teams. It was a tough game, a tough opponent. Valencia, they played much more defensive than what they used to be to play under Gennaro Gattuso, and put Barcelona so much in trouble. I think they were anxious, especially in the final third. They were not having very good ideas, I think, and you could see after the minute 20, something like that, they were dominating, 20% possession, but no clear chances. I think you could tell that they were still having some panic effect after being eliminated with that defeat against Bayern Munich. And eventually, I was at the game. I was at the back of the net following the game, and I didn't get to see the goal because I leave always 5 minutes before the end of the match to do the flash interviews. And of course, that was the moment Lewandowski decided to score. I thought that there will be no goal because there was no inspiration. So it has to be the magical man, Robert Lewandowski, who scored that goal that gives not only 3 points, a lot of mental peace to Xavi. It would have been a complicated week if they go from Mestalla with an empty-handed 1 point. So it was another goal, a great goal from Lewandowski, the Pichichi of La Liga, the top scorer of Barcelona, 18 goals in 17 games. It's a lot. He's giving so many points to Barcelona.
Yeah, putting in the work that everybody expected when this signing was announced. Of course, Lewandowski, we've talked about him a lot because he's stayed on top of his game with those such important goals. And like you said, Gemma, so much better. The 3 points and the 1 point, especially what we saw after this weekend. But what did Xavi say about this game? Let's check it out, of course, after these 3 really important points. As you said, Xavi Hernandez said, it has been a very important victory. We have been better than Valencia and we deserved the victory. We had played with anxiety. The Champions League has affected us. We have to learn this is a process and we have to believe. What do you think about Xavi's realistic perspective, in my opinion, at least, Rodri, from how Barcelona is doing after that Champions League elimination?
I agree with these words by Xavi because I understand that now Barcelona, after Champions League knockout, they have to focus more on results, to be patient and to have this kind of relaxed entourage to grow as a team. So that's why I understand Xavi. And if I were Xavi, sometimes I would maybe forget about the Barca's DNA, trying to play better and to play and combine the way Barca have always combined. So that's why sometimes you need some results to work a little bit more calm down and to grow as a team, because we've already mentioned so many times that Barca is an under construction team and he is an under construction coach. So I understand that maybe results like Valencia game or these kind of wins for Barcelona are something needed for them to grow as a project, because I understand that now if you see all the media or if you read all the media from Barcelona, it's like they need to win, doesn't really matter who. So that's why I understand that Xavi has to be more practical sometimes and he has to focus more more on the results rather than in the game, because the game will be there for Barca forever, and they will be back at that high level. But now what they need is just to win. They won against Valencia in a not very bright game for Xavi's side, so I understand that they need some kind of good results to work more calm.
Yeah, and against any sort of rival too, right? Whether it's 1 point or those 3 points, of course, all the more valuable. And Gemma, like you said, you had to leave a few minutes before to do those flash interviews. I'm sure the mood would have been totally different, but I'm curious, late minute, last minute actually, goal enough to get that victory. What was the mood like after the match?
Oh wow, it was, I know it's not a very good comparison, but I was just next to the bench when Lewandowski scored. And it was like a joy of explosion, but honestly, like they just won the Champions League. So, I mean, there was so much tension and so much, pressure on Xavi. Xavi started to hug the members of his staff, and they were so happy. And then I was in the tunnel during the flash interviews, and you could tell Gerard Piqué was extremely happy. They were talking with two youngsters that used to be in Barcelona, Ilaix Moriba and Nico, joking about his Ilaix outfits, and Jordi Alba was happy, and they were we could talk with Xavi and Frenkie de Jong, and they were extremely happy. Even Koundé, who had some kind of injury, he came to the flash to talk. So you could see there was a lot, I think the word is relief, because they knew that if they don't make those 3 points, it might be trouble. And I think no one was expecting Real Madrid failing to win the 3 points the day after.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw a meme where Xavi, somebody was like peeking over the corner. It's like Xavi looking Real Madrid dropping points, because that's truly what it is. 32 points for Madrid, 31 points from Barcelona. And here's what's next on their calendar, at least before we jump into what Real Madrid is. November 1st, that away match against Victoria Pilsen. Of course, we know that this doesn't count for anything anymore. They're going to shift their focus to the Europa League. November 5th, they'll play home against Almeria. And on the 8th, they'll play away against Osasuna. And of course, that big break being for Qatar 2022. But they'll come back for that Catalan derby against Espanyol. And then January 8th, they'll play away against Atletico de Madrid. So it's not an easy calendar necessarily coming ahead. And I know Gemma will have some insider information with regards to what that Champions League match will mean for Xavi Hernandez and company. But let's shift focus to what we already said, peeking around the corner to see what Madrid could do the very next day, and they dropped points. Rodri, how surprised were you with this result?
Well, I was kind of surprised because, when you are facing Girona, is the kind of team that is about to avoid relegation. You expect Real Madrid playing home, and you expect a win, like a 2-0, 3-0. But, I don't know why, but Real Madrid is struggling a little bit in these past 2-3 weeks. Beside the good results that they're getting, the game is not a good game as they were before FIFA break. I think, once the FIFA break came in, since then, Real Madrid is not the same team that they used to be. So that's why I don't know if it's something that you have to maybe to blame, all the injuries, all the overload by, for example, Tchouaméni. He had an overload and he couldn't play yesterday. Or maybe what happened to Benzema, no one knows. He's not injured, but he's not playing because of that muscle fatigue that he is suffering. You don't really know what happens to Real Madrid. Maybe because some players are thinking more on the World Cup rather than in La Liga, because they see themselves so good and so distant from Barca, from some other teams, that maybe that self-confidence is making them victims of their own success. I don't know what happens to them, but Real Madrid, they didn't play well, and Girona, for me, they deserve even more, because Real Madrid didn't really have so good chances apart from the first half. In the second half, they look like a normal, like a standard team, and I think they deserve a little bit more of good gaming and play a little bit bit more bright, because if not, Carlo Ancelotti's side is going to struggle against Barcelona by this La Liga title.
Yeah, it's only a 1-point difference, and dropping points at this, I'm being very redundant, but at this point in the competition, it can really make you suffer those last crucial matches of the year, where those games are played practically at the same time, right? And anything can happen. But just as tough as it is for Barcelona and Gemma to get out of that funk that was the Champions League and that complicated match in El Clásico, it's tough for Real Madrid to really maintain that momentum, right? We talked about that fantastic week that they had, and then they just kind of tripped up a little bit. What can Carlo Ancelotti do to kind of reel his players back in and use that self-confidence that Rodri was talking about and really place that on the pitch?
Well, it's a long, strange season, and I'm sure Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atleti are going to face these kind of very difficult games. When you maybe are thinking about what's coming, especially this year with the World Cup in the middle of the season, and not that you are playing about with a team that has just been promoted and they are playing for avoid relegation. But sometimes they have an inspirational day and they fight and they are really good and they can put you into trouble. That's why I think Real Madrid were so upset at the end, because usually they always find a way to find the 3 points in this kind of clashes, and they couldn't. That's why I think they are so upset about the referee decision, that penalty. We can talk about that later if you want. I have my own opinion. Let's see what Rodri has to say. But all games in La Liga are going to be complicated. All rivals are. And they didn't play that well. Girona, they had opportunities in the first half to score first. So they will have to think in every game, because Barcelona are going to be there. They might be a more made team that sometimes works out of memory like a machine, but every point is important. And I think they weren't good enough on Sunday to have the 3 points.
Gemma, I want to know your opinion quickly about the penalty situation.
Well, I don't have an opinion, because honestly, the rules with the hands, I'm very confused. But yeah. I read the regulation, the rules, and it says that the hands, if you touch the ball with the hands and these hands are in an unnatural position, it doesn't matter that if it's first in your chest, whatever. And we saw in the pictures that the ball goes to Asensio's hand. So the rules say that is penalty. Maybe we can talk if that rule is fair or it is not. But the rules say that. And I think Asensio told Ancelotti that the ball was not in his hand. I think that he might misunderstand it, but the pictures the footage is clear. So I think, yes, it's a penalty. Maybe it's not that fair because he doesn't want to touch the ball, but the hand is unnatural and is making a space there. So the rule says that.
Yeah, and that's the rule, and then the criteria, so it's not ever really completely clear as to what the ref is going to decide. Let's take a look at what Carlo Ancelotti had to say about this whole situation. I don't like to talk about this, but today I'm going to. First situation is quite clear. It is not a penalty because Asensio does not touch the ball with his hands. They've invented it. The second situation is a little more debatable, but the rule is clear. There was no clear control of the ball, but that's debatable. I'm not going to discuss that. So he's going to discuss one thing or another, but he's not really, going to a straight situation. He's saying, but it's debatable. Not saying that he's the end-all, be-all of the reasoning behind this. What do you think about this, Rodri?
I understand that Real Madrid players are disappointed, and even Carlo Ancelotti. This is something that surprised me a lot. We will talk about later on our Insiders section. But the thing is that, when I talked to him in the flash interview and he said so, I was like, my God, man, what happens to this Italian gentleman? Because he's always so gentle, so close to the people, so close to the referees that, it surprised me a lot. The thing is that I understand what Gemma just said, that The rule is the rule, so there is nothing to debate about that. The thing is that at the beginning of the season, of every season, all the referees go, city by city, talking to all La Liga teams to say, okay, this is the way everything has changed this season, and this is the way we're going to try to referee any game. And the thing is that they were said, Real Madrid and all La Liga teams were said that at the beginning of this tournament, that they were not going to say this is going to be a penalty if the hand is not good enough or not clear enough. So that's why all Real Madrid players were like mad at the referee, like, okay, this is like, as we say here in Spain, penaltito, like a not that clear penalty. So that's why they were in anger with the referee, because this is just the opposite of what referees said at the beginning of the season. So that's why, they were all shocked by this kind of decision.
Yeah, the penaltito, it's a recurring word that we've heard from Carlo Ancelotti. Maybe it can be applied here. Everybody has their own opinion, their own criteria too. And yeah, as clear or not as the rules are, it really comes down to the judgment of the VAR and of course the referee at the time. But let's take a look at what Real Madrid has coming forward before at least the World Cup. On November 2nd, they'll play against that Celtic team. November 7th, they'll play away against Rayo Vallecano. Still with La Liga, they'll play at home against Cádiz. And of course, that Qatar 2022 break, when they come back, they'll play away against Valladolid. They have 2 games away. That second one will be January 8th against Villarreal. So a lot of activity kind of surrounding this team, of course, and that mission to stay undefeated. We know that they dropped those points in the Champions League, but it is what it is for Barcelona and for Real Madrid. Let's switch over to some insider information because I'm really curious as to what you guys have for us, as always, starting this Monday. Speaking of the Champions League, Gemma, I had already hinted that you had some information for us with Barcelona and that plan against Victoria Pilsen.
Yeah, well, it's a game unconsequential. It's 2 million, and it's not a little thing for Barcelona, where they are struggling in economy, but nothing else to be played. The pride, being proud, at least leaving this shameful Champions League with a win. And it's the only team they have been able to win in this edition. Victoria Pilsen playing in the Czech Republic. So Xavi decided to take the youngsters to leave Lewandowski at home. He's having some discomfort in the back, nothing important. He more than probably will be available on Saturday to play Almeria, but he's having some rest. And Xavi decided to take an expedition of La Masia of youngsters, players from the B team. They played this weekend with Barça B, and they are already now traveling to the Czech Republic. It's Pablo Torre, he has already played both Champions League and La Liga, and Alex Valle, Álvaro Sanz, Elias, Marc Casado. So we might experience to see some rotations. Maybe it depends on the results, some minutes of these young talented kids, and Xavi will try to win, of course, to have some dignity at least, but we will be seeing some players. Let me add you some story that happened today in the Sports City. They decided to train in the Sports City and then travel to the Czech Republic, and there was an incident with Araujo. All the supporters go there, please don't do that to the cars, and by accident Araujo stepped on a fan's foot. Oops. And she was so much in pain. Araujo kind of asked for sorry, but you cannot do that. They were in front of the car, so eventually he went to the back, went inside the Sports City, and Barcelona medical staff attended that girl, found that she was injured. And please don't do that because it's so much danger. I always see that pictures, or if I'm there with the fans running behind the cars, is so dangerous. So today, Thank God, it was nothing bad, but we lived this in the Sports City earlier today.
Yeah, it's at your own risk. It reminds me of, Koeman's pretty much last matches with Barcelona, right? When he fell, when he didn't beat Real Madrid in the Clásico, so many fans just surrounding his car. That's a tough situation. Hopefully I never have to do that, because I don't know what anybody would do in that kind of situation. accidents happen. Of course, por Araujo, that must have been a scare as well for him. And Rodri, switching back to Real Madrid and another tough situation, right? We already talked about what the referee situation was like. We read, what Carlo Ancelotti had to say about it. But how bothered are they really with this situation?
All of them were in anger. I was there at the game against Girona, and right after the game, I could interview Dani Carvajal and Carlo Ancelotti, and both of them were really disappointed by the way the referee behaved during the game. But the thing is that behind the cameras, I could talk with three Real Madrid players, and all of them were like, we don't really understand why the referee behaved like this in that game. So that's why they were really disappointed. They were in anger because they understand that the referee was against them in every single game of the match. So that's why they were complaining about that. And the thing is that we saw those words by Carlo Ancelotti after the game on ESPN cameras. The thing is that Carlo Ancelotti, after those words, is facing a 4-game ban from Real Federación Española de Fútbol, who still has to decide about these words. And Real Madrid, they are concerned about this kind of sanctions because Gaya, Valencia's captain, was banned last season for something really deep, really similar. So that's why he was banned for 4 games, and that's why Real Madrid, they understand that Carlo Ancelotti could face. In that case, if finally Ancelotti is banned, Real Madrid is going to appeal that sanction. So Carlo Ancelotti could coach the rest of the season with no problems. But let's see, because now it's up to Real Federación Española de Fútbol.
So sensitive, these referees. I mean, that's at least my impression of it. We know that Neymar had that kind of tough situation in the Champions League match. But anyway, yeah, come on, refs. You guys can take it a little bit. It's the social media era. I'm not saying that they should accept it, but okay, no, we're going to get in a whole tangent. But let's switch over to something positive. Ansu Fati's birthday, Gemma, and what does he want most for his birthday?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, let's wish him a happy birthday. He has suffered so much struggle with injuries and everything. He's 20 today. He will celebrate with the teammates flying to the Czech Republic. But he's not really happy with the situation. 2 years ago, he suffered that terrible injury. He had to have different surgeries, and he's still in process of recovery. So what's happening now? He's almost there, almost 100%, but as he has already relapsed from that injury a couple of times, Xavi and his staff are taking so much care of him, giving him not enough minutes. That's what the player thinks. He's frustrated because he has only been able to play 34% of the minutes, only 4 starts, none of them in important games. The most important game was probably on Saturday against Valencia in Mestalla, and he feels that he needs more minutes. So there is some kind of clash between what he wants and what the staff wants. Why does he want more minutes? To don't lose the momentum, and maybe some other forwards take his place in the forward line of Barcelona, to show Luis Enrique that he is able to play the World Cup, because he hasn't been able to play with Spain. He was in the Nations League summer games, but he didn't play a minute. He wasn't there in the last FIFA window, and he's worried that he's in the pre-list, even though it's secret of Luis Enrique, but he's not confirmed as one of the elected to go to Qatar with Spain. So he's really feeling that double feeling that, yeah, I don't want to relapse, but I need more minutes to have that competitive level to prove that I can be a top striker in Barcelona and in Spain.
Yeah, the potential, he has it, and it's been such an unlucky short career for Ansu Fati, really, that we've only been able to see him such little time because of those unfortunate injuries, and it was so sad to see when it happened to him again. And now, fortunately, he's at that point where he feels like he needs and deserves more minutes, so hopefully for his birthday and for the player in general, he does get those minutes, and we do see that career really come to fruition, like we've also been anticipating from Ansu Fati. What we've been waiting now from Asensio and Real Madrid, of course, we know that the season and even the off season was very different from what we're seeing now from him, Rodri. The player looks like he's happier and has a future with Real Madrid. What's the latest?
You may remember, Chris, I think it was 2 weeks ago when we said that I wouldn't be surprised if finally Real Madrid could offer a renewal contract to Marco Asensio, who is over with Real Madrid by the end of this season. Finally, Real Madrid is really happy by Marco Asensio's performances this year. They are really happy with how Marco Asensio is getting along with his teammates in the locker room and how he behaves in the pitch with the audience and with Real Madrid supporters. And they believe that this is a new Marco Asensio. That is not the same Marco Asensio than last season, where he was like, okay, I want to play more, I want to be a starter every single season. Now he understands the new role that he's getting by Ancelotti. So that's why Real Madrid is thinking seriously about offering him a renewal contract. It's not the same renewal contract that maybe Real Madrid could have been offering him in maybe in the past 2 years, but now it's a new one. So that's why they understand his role is kind of necessary for Real Madrid, and they couldn't find any better player for Marco Asensio at that price. So that's why they are thinking seriously about offering him a renewal contract in the following days, so they can renew Marco Asensio before even the January month, when he could be free to sign to any kind of team. So that's why Marco Asensio now is happy with Real Madrid too, and he understands the role perfectly. So that's why it wouldn't be surprising if finally both of them, the two parts, Real Madrid and Marco Asensio, agree a renewal contract before
Wow,
Christmas.
so interesting. Yeah, I remember you mentioned that, and we talked about it extensively because of that turnaround now that he's had, and we saw him smiling in a game and participating, and we've seen him score goals as well. So yeah, it could be a very good thing for a renewed Asensio to have that come together with that renewed contract. So we'll obviously stay up to date with that, and of course you'll bring us that latest information. Switching back over to Barcelona, Gemma, Asensio maybe getting a little bit more clarity with his situation, but what's going on with Memphis Depay and Barca?
Well, he's still injured. He suffered an injury when he was in the international break with the Netherlands, and Barcelona medical staff suspect that recovery is going really, really slow. And that, yes, of course, it's a hamstring problem, and he has to be 100%. Everyone knows that the World Cup is coming, and risk of relapse after muscular injuries are high, and there is some kind of they are not very happy with the fact that they think that it's taking too long, probably because Memphis is thinking more on the World Cup than on Barcelona. He could be useful in these final games where, for example, Robert Lewandowski will be having some rest because he has some discomfort on the back, and he could be an important player, but they think that he decided to take that recovery really slow. They are not happy with that, and we will be seeing what happens in the next winter window, but there are clubs that could be interested in having Memphis Depay, such as Sevilla, Galatasaray, Newcastle, and Barcelona might be open to a transfer because he's ending contract at the end of the season. They already wanted him to go in summer. Xavi preferred to keep Aubameyang and Memphis to go, but he didn't want to leave. And they will be working on the next weeks when the World Cup action will leave them with more time to that possible departure, because they are not very happy with Memphis' attitude.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? As you said, in the summer when we talked about possible players that could leave Barcelona to help with that economic situation, Memphis Depay was 9 times out of 10 on that list for Barcelona. So we'll see how that situation kind of turns out, especially with that World Cup break and the transfer window coming kind of simultaneously. Switching back over to Real Madrid now with a new face around Valdebebas as well. Rodri, with Solari back and working fully now?
Yeah, new old face. Santiago Solari, who was Real Madrid former coach back in 2020, when before Zidane went back to his second era at Real Madrid. The Argentinian now is working as a Valdebebas director, as a Real Madrid Academy director. It's not official yet, but the thing is that I was told by my Real Madrid sources that he's already working at Valdebebas, at Real Madrid training ground, trying to focus on the academy to sign new prospect players and to see how he can improve Real Madrid academy work, which is already really nice. And Real Madrid board is really happy with the work they've been doing in these past years. But the thing is that Solari is a new figure. Like, he's going to organize everything. He's going to be like the main director. No one is going to be fired by Santiago Solari signing. So keep calm down and don't worry about your jobs if you are working at Real Madrid Academy, so no problem about that. But the thing is that he's already working there. He doesn't want to be an option for Real Madrid first squad bench in the future. He just want to focus on the academy work. And I guess it's going to be official maybe this week or maybe next one. But the thing is that he's already working, he's happy, and he's
back and ready to work at Real Madrid after what we saw from him in Mexico. And like you said, it's a new but familiar face that we're seeing from Solari. All right,
Chris,
great stuff.
Maybe we can have some extra time before the extra time, because Rodi and I and all the ESPN crew were able to talk to Solari on the final day of El Clásico. We had a get together really nice, and as he worked with us, he was there and he talked us so well about his experience in Mexico for him and his family. They really love it there. It was family related, life related, then work it was another thing, but he had such a good memory, so you guys treated him and the family really well.
Oh, that's great. I mean, I'm a little biased, right? Because I lived a few years in Mexico City, and yeah, it's amazing. Go if you guys haven't gone yet. All right, now on to some extra time. Great stuff as always, guys, with that inside information. The question surrounding Karim Benzema, is he going to be a dad? Is he going to have a baby or not? That's kind of the rumor floating around. Rodri, do you know of anything?
Well, there are some rumors about that, and those rumors pointed out that he will have a baby. I don't know if he will be Real Madrid Academy member in some time, but the thing is that he's happy in Madrid. He's one of the main leaders of the team. He's a captain even in the locker room, and the way he has grown up is incredibly great for Real Madrid and even for him, because he's like the silent leader for Real Madrid, maybe behind Cristiano Ronaldo's era or maybe behind Raúl's era, but he's a different leader, but he's a leader. So if this is right, congratulations Benzema, and please come back as soon as possible, because the team is not the same without him.
Yeah, absolutely. And his partner, wow. Beautiful. That helps too, right? Of course, looking towards a bright future. But let's take a look at a conversation that he supposedly had with a fan about this situation. He said, "If the news is real, I'm very happy for you and Jordan. I hope you and Jordan will always be happy." And he said, "It's fake news." So, sorry, do you want me to share this and let people know to avoid any false news? Okay, that's the response from Benzema. Do we believe this or not, Gemma?
I don't know. I was checking the last minute because I read that he was pregnant. He will have a third kid. Then I read that and I was like, I'm going to look for the last minute thing, because I don't know if he denies. Maybe he was having fun with the fun. I don't know. Anyways, it's going to be for sure a great year for Benzema. Ballon d'Or, his first golden ball. He's having such a momentum, even though he's having a little injury there. World Cup. And maybe third kid, we'll see. If it is, congratulations, and if it's not, it will come soon whenever he wants. The couple wants, of course.
Can you imagine being a fan and just DMing him randomly, being like, "Oh, congratulations," and he actually answers you? Just throw the phone across the room, like, "Whoa, what just happened? You want me to share this?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." So he answered twice to this fan. So yeah, if it's fake news, sorry about that, Benzema, maybe another victim of fake news. But if it's true, yes, I agree. Congratulations to Karim Benzema. Like Gemma said, he's already having a great year, and this would kind of be just a nice little cherry on top of the whole situation. Great stuff as always, guys. You guys can follow Gemma and Rodrigo on their Twitter. Here it is, their Twitter handles, and you can follow all of La Liga matches on ESPN Plus. Guys, have a great week. Talk in a few days. Yeah.
Thank you, you too. Adios, amigos.
Thank you.
It's
Bye.
Bye.